Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's May 18th, and we're going to do a full garden tour today. Been working on refreshing a few beds, working on another trailer load of compost. Grass is getting carried away up in a lot of places. They're up here in the main garden. I got some volunteer sunflowers coming up amongst this grass. We've been pulling onions here. They're not the biggest. Of course, we hadn't done a lot to them since putting them in. Normally we'll shoot some extra nitrogen to them as far as fish emulsion, which never got around to doing that. And we didn't get to putting the water on them. It's been kind of dry, and normally when they start into the bulbing phase, you need to water them a bunch. But anyway, we've got a good bit that we harvested out of there. Our curly leaf parsley's doing good. These onions here aren't quite ready. I've been doing a little extra watering on them, trying to get them up. A lot of them's in there too heavy, but we're not going to worry about that. Now our red onions here are looking like they're ready to come out, so we're going to have to deal with those. Right here are our green beans. Now this batch here is pretty much played out. It's still producing some, but it's kind of played out, so we're going to need to put in some more. These were all our green onions, which you can see they're not very pretty right now, so they'll be the last that go to the market. Some of them are bulbing up. We'll let them bulb up. We got to get out here and pull some more of these that went to seed. Get rid of them. And we have our cabbage here. We have some more green onions here, Spanish whites, that's they're not quite ready. We've got a couple varieties of cucumbers right here. They're starting to put on a few cucumbers. This is our roll of red curry. That hadn't started producing yet, but we do have some butternut. Well, it looks like we got one red curry starting to form on there, but we do have some little butternuts coming on, hiding around in here. There's another one that's hiding over there. And then we come down here, we've got our cantaloupe. Now I haven't seen any cantaloupe yet on it, but it won't be long till they start. And of course we've got our okra here. We finally got out a bunch of our peppers, or yellow scorpion. They were all looking pretty pitiful. They've been in there way too long, dropped a lot of their leaves and stuff. But as you'll see, they'll all come back. Even the ones that's got blooms, I'm not going to mess with them. They'll overcome and take off. Now the early peas, or you might call them English peas or green peas, these are pretty much played out. We have some more peppers here. These were really leggy putting in, but we're not going to worry about that. Our Cherokee purple tomato plants are doing good. They're starting to put on some tomatoes. Now we have some more peppers here and down there a little bit, which if it would focus on it, are some large leaf Italian basil, and then at the end is some borage. That both of them should have been put out. As you can see, it's really yellowed. It's no nutrients in its thing. These here are my F1 seeds I saved. We'll see how they produce. These are red snappers, and of course they're getting loaded up with tomatoes. It's time to get back over here. I did the Florida weave up on that side. I've got to get back over to this side and finish it up. As I was going down, I seen like a little worm infestation, so I figured I'd get that taken care of, and then got sidetracked. So over here, these beds are getting rejuvenated. That one has just been done, and this one here I'll be taking care of it today. And I'm probably going to go ahead and harvest the rest of these rutabagas out and take care of this bed too. The tops don't look good, so we'll just cut the tops and harvest the rutabagas. Got a few fig trees still going here. And the greenhouse is going crazy. I got to get down here, get my tomatoes tied up where they're more controlled. I still got my chamomile. It's not been put out, and that deal, I don't know, maybe I better put it in a place just to get it taken care of. My cucumbers have reached the 10-foot mark. They're really producing. I have my Roselle hibiscus. I need to get these out. I tilled a place for them yesterday. I'm going to try to grow them as an annual. We have more pepper varieties here, and then some onions. These onions will probably just be thrown out. They should have been planted, but they weren't. I have some leek I'm fixing to put in one of these little beds right here. These look like they're big enough that they can be put out. And then a bunch of herbs that needs to be put into their place. And by the looks of it, I might end up putting those herbs in my barrels over here, because my ginger isn't looking like it's coming in too good. Now down this row here, we're starting to, we've got a bunch of tomatoes, but we're starting to see some ripening. Our sun gold, as you can see, we've got some ripening going on there. We've got a few more hiding down in there. They're just loaded up with my Oxheart tomatoes are really doing good. They're starting to get a little bit of size on them. Hopefully won't be too long. We'll be eating some of those. But we have tomatoes all over. Of course, in our East Texas heat, they're probably not going to do too good once it warms up. We got our Craig's Atomic grapes right there, which are the Atomic grape. Over here, our celery is doing good. Now, a lot of people say blanch it. Now, they've been tasting the celery occasionally, and it's tasting pretty good. Probably getting close to time. We'll probably want to harvest it and preserve some of it. We have our peppers here. We started staking these up. These are all sweet peppers. Our volunteer potatoes that ended up in here are definitely going. Now we're starting to see that's a ginger sprout right there coming up, so it looks like we might be starting to see some ginger. Just been trying to keep this kind of weeded, but I don't think we're going to have as good of crop as we could. We still got to get some water on there. Over here are our carrots, which are looking pretty good. They're in here pretty thick. We didn't ever thin them down. We've got more of our onions here that were for our green onions, and in a test, see how they bulb. And we'll go ahead and pull out the ones that's bolting. This is a common problem when you plant onion sets. The little bulbs that you buy, they tend to bolt real quick, unlike my onions that I grow from seed, or if you get a good batch from your nursery or your big box store or something. that the actual onion plants, they tend to bolt less unless they've sat there and dried out quite a bit and they start thinking it's their second year. But anyway, we have cucumbers down here, and we have a little bit of garlic at the end. Let's just take a tour down this way. Yeah, this garlic here I don't think is going to do too good. We plant it really late, and the heat is really rough on it. If we were in a cooler place, or we planted it real early in the spring, it would probably be doing better. Over here we got a bad grass problem we're going to have to get out, but otherwise we're going to have a pretty big seed bank of seeds in there. We have some more green beans. These are a little bit more shaded, and they're still producing a little bit better, and they're blooming good. So we'll probably wait on this row. Over here, this was sprouting broccoli. It didn't really do too good. Of course, now we've let it overgrown with weeds. Over here we have a bunch of our hot pepper varieties. We're doing the Florida weave on them, keep them up. Here are all our little citrus trees in their 1-inch pot. And this one here is the single seed tree. I'm fixing to pot that up, haven't got to it. We have some blueberry needs to get in the ground with the rest of them, and we have some pineapples here that are needing potting up. And we have a nice crop of eggplant, and as always, and I think this must be leaf miners or something, I probably need to put some neem oil on them this year and see if I can't get them to do better. We have a nice bunch of blueberries. This one here is Premier. These will get bigger, so but that one's doing good. We've ate most of them off of these ones right here. There might be a few scragglers, not too many get taken in, because we'll come out here, and of course this one here looks like a bug got a hold of it, but we just come out here in the garden and we gobble them up. And try and get the grass out of the strawberries. We're thinking about maybe either moving the whole beds into a little high tunnel, maybe to keep them a little bit more controlled from the grass blowing in, and where we might can get a better harvest doing a little shade cloth and stuff. But they're still producing, they just aren't producing good quality. We're taking very few to the farmer's market. Now we have some peppers here. We have a variety, some hatch green chilies. We've got some it looks like maybe a few bell peppers, and then we have some big jalapenos. We still have the Chinese cabbage hanging in there. It seemed like maybe the worm pressure isn't quite so high on it anymore, but the thing about this is Hilton, but the thing about this is it makes a real good lettuce substitute when it starts getting warmer and the lettuces want to bolt. Now let's see, let's go back here. We got to get the grass out of our okra. We are starting to get a little bit of okra. I started weeding and then got off onto another thing. Our squash, you can see we're getting some blight in here. I've just seeded some more seed in the cell trays. So I'll replant some squash so we'll have a continuous harvest. Broccoli, we've harvested most of the heads. There are a few left. We put a bunch in the freezer. This Lacinato kale, it's really looking rough. It just doesn't like that much heat. It does a whole lot better in the cool. So we'll end up pulling it out, and all the cabbage that's at the end, all but the heads that exploded when it did get too much water, we've harvested them and preserved them. Now we're in the old garden plot, and this is where we've got some lemon drop melons here. We've got two different varieties of sweet potatoes, the Stokes, and then a traditional orange sweet potato. And then we've got 6 varieties of potatoes over here. And what our plans are today is we're going to harvest some of these potatoes. Now, they're not all going to be ready, because especially this batch at the end here, in fact, these haven't even been laid by. I probably need to get out here and go ahead and do that. These are the French fingerlings right here. The others, now grass has kind of overrun some of these. I'm not sure if this is the Magic Molly or the Adirondack Blue, but anyway, we're gonna dig the ones that the leaves are yellow and the plants have died. Over here, these right here, of course, I just pinched the flowers off them. It's a proven fact that you'll have a little bit bigger potato harvest from it. That's not an old wives' tale. There's actually PDF out there if you want to research for it. The Yukon Gold, which is these 2 rows, you can see they're dying back. The Pontiac Reds, a lot of them towards the bottom end down here are dying back, and we're going to come out here today and we're going to harvest them, because well, it's time. But we'll harvest like these Yukons, golds that are dying, and then of course all these over here. Some plants have already turned brown, some we've already dug up. We're looking like we got a good crop of candy corn coming on. Now, a lot of people say, well, you can't overhead water corn because the sprinkler, after a period of time, it's not tall enough. But we just do a little modification here. Take a T-post and a piece of copper tubing, 3/4 inch copper tubing, and we take one of the sprinklers like you'd normally poke in the ground, and we just put it up there and let it go around, and it does good. And water makes a big difference on your corn. Of course, this corn here is getting taller than me. Some isn't. It's not in the best spot because you can see this big tree here. It blocks a certain amount of sun. And then the corn at the corner down here doesn't get water from the sprinkler. It's not quite far enough that direction, which possibly we might move it later. But for now, it's just not getting enough water. Now, there is plenty of grass. There's going to be a big seed bank. This is not my no-till, so I'm not worried about it. This has been tasseling. It should be hopefully getting good pollination on these cobs that's here. I've been treating this with BT and spinosad and some neem oil mix about every 5 days to keep the worms out of the cobs. Hopefully hopefully that'll work. I know in my other garden, the field corn, it's definitely showing some signs that we're getting in it early. I did mention the sweet potatoes here, which that we did lose a few of them, but we still have a really good stand, and right now they're starting to take over. So as long as we keep some extra water going to them, we'll water them today after we take and dig our potatoes. Now we'll take a journey down to the old garden spot. It was the garden before the other one that we're just leaving. And a nice little walk through the woods. Mowed a path for our little 1/2-inch poly tubing that we run for water down here to run the sprinklers. Now, these sprinklers are set up tall like the other ones. Now, they're not right in the middle of the corn crop, so they'll still get it pretty good. But this is field corn down here, so it's not going to, it's going to get considerably taller than the sweet corn. We have, down here we have some zipper cream peas in this area. Now we have a tree directly over, and we have a whole tree line right there, so they don't get real good amount of light, but they are doing pretty good for not having it. Down here are purple hull peas. These here, I believe, are BVR or Top Pick is the variety. I do plant like 3 or 4 varieties of purple hulls. But anyway, they're doing good. They're starting to bloom, I've noticed, so it won't be long that we'll be picking them. The nut grass is like crazy down here, and there ain't nothing I can do. Looks like we've had some leaf cutters come in here and cut these. Now this is a problem that we have, is leaf cutters, and if we don't watch them and run them down, they will definitely decimate a crop. As you can see, they just cut everything off right here. Our corn is doing pretty good. It's not quite tasseling, but it looks like it's close to tasseling. And in part of it, this on this side looks a little bit less, and could be water. Now here's what I was talking about as far as worms, and we can see this is tasseling. So, but we've been treating this, and I think we've kind of got these under control. We've had attacks where they've been eating the tops out of some of this. It's not going to get much more spraying because it'll be too tall for me to hand spray it. But this is kind of what you watch for when you start tasseling. But you can see where the worm has been down in there and ate. But like I say, it's been taken care of. Now over here we have our watermelon. These are sugar babies, and we're starting to get some little watermelons on here. And what I need to do is keep these trained away from the corn, because I definitely don't need them. But we've got quite a few watermelons coming on, which is great. Got a few that's a little bigger down there, but we'll let these run anywhere but into the corn. But there you can see we're starting to get a good crop. Now, for those of you that's in the city or up north, you might not be familiar with this plant, but those of us in the south, this is a bull nettle, and it can get a rather big plant, and it doesn't do any good to just kick it out if you want to get rid of it, but it does deter it. But this thing, if you touch it, it will definitely sting you and get you to itching. So kind of watch out for that. We got a pretty good sized little one coming on there. I'm still waiting to start seeing some of my cantaloupes. And I got watermelons wanting to take over the cantaloupes. I'd probably like the watermelons better, but yeah, I can't wait to start getting some cantaloupes. Now these are Hell's Best. If you're not familiar with Hell's Best, it is really a sweet, good tasting cantaloupe. And the difference of growing your own cantaloupes, and I can tell you, is, now don't ever grow these on a trellis. There's people that'll tell you, and if you do, you've got to really support your cantaloupe. But the way you know when the cantaloupe's ready to eat is take and kind of touch that vine, a little bit of pressure on that vine, and when it pops loose, that's when it's ready, and it's going to be really sweet, and it's time to eat. So, and it won't taste like a store-bought. It'll have a lot of flavor, and it'll be really, really sweet. But anyway, that's this garden. Let's go see how the fruit trees are doing. Now we're here at the fig trees. These are my in-ground trees, and it looks like I gotta get me some diatomaceous earth. This ants just like to flock where there's moisture. We're getting good fig production. This one and this one are some that I've had for a while. It's really vigorous. You can see this new growth since it's started this year, which from here up to here it's almost 18 inches, and it's not any signs of stopping. It is popping out figs all over. Should have a good crop. Now these froze back, if you remember, back in February of last year when we had that cold spell come through. And so basically this is the going on the second year that it's come back because they froze to the ground. This is my Cadota. It's starting to come back. It's really had a rougher time than some of the others. These two are brown turkeys, and they pretty much are coming back from the bottom. It's like the Cadota and them froze back to the ground this year. They don't take as much temperature as that Texas Everbearing. Over here we have the pear tree. Now I did some grafting this year, and you can barely see, you can see the graft line here, but it's taken good. I've added a couple more varieties. I did a couple of grafts on that tree, and then I've got one over here. Well, that's if I can find it. Oh, it's over here. We grafted right here. Now this Orient tree, I've never got figs on it. I did have it bloom, but I didn't get any figs, so I've grafted this variety here. Is a looks like Libert sugar pear. So anyway, hopefully I'll have some pears on this tree now. Down here, yesterday I tilled up this row and this row. This is where I'm going to take and put my Roselle hibiscus, and I think I'm going to plant some more yellow squash up here. Possibly it might be that I just plant more fig trees. I have some more that's going to have to go in the ground. This row here is pumpkins, different varieties of pumpkins, and they were really root bound, but they're starting to get a hold and starting to come out now. Over here we have a few of our fig trees, and these were actually sticks some months ago. We have a tag here. This one was February 22nd. This is Adirondack or Adriatic white, and it's definitely turned into a fig tree. We have a bunch of others here. Some of them are more vigorous than the others. You can kind of tell by that one that it's a little bit taller. The different varieties, they're going to grow at different rates. But they're all doing good, surviving. Now I have grass coming in here. My intent was to already had put compost around them, and I've been redoing my beds in my garden, so I'm going to have to go after another load. But I figure I'd get that done so I can keep the roots cooler, let them prosper a little bit better. Now these are my elderberries, and I have quite a few down this row. And down here are my blackberries, and they need the same thing. They need some compost to go around, but they are putting on. This is my thorn ones here that they'll make a pretty good size blackberry. And then as we come on down, we'll get to some of these thornless. Now these are all young. These were started from just a stick where they were taken in bare root blackberry plants. And then I have some native blackberries which are trying to come back in this area, so this will create a little bit of situation trying to keep things cleaned up. Now, the thing about these blackberries are, no, we don't have very many, but they sure are good. And it sure is nice. That wake your mouth up. It sure is nice having them right here on the farm. Now these little plants that's put in here, and I have a few more I need to set out, that seeds finally germinate. These are North Georgia candy roasters. And if you hadn't grown them before, they grow like pumpkin vines. They will, they like a lot of room. I've had them run over 40 feet. The vines on them. The North Georgia Candy Roaster is a really good squash for soups. It holds together good. It's a bigger squash, and you can substitute it in any dish that you use pumpkin or sweet potatoes. But anyway, that'll be a little extra information. But I hope you enjoyed this full garden tour. I know it's a little bit long, but that's where we're sitting in the garden, and things are changing daily. If you want to keep updated, we'll hit that subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified. And if you like it, give it a big thumbs up and share this video. It helps my channel. Happy gardening.